Hey guys, Felipe Vieira here, a developer and front-end with over 15 years in the field. Okay? I'm re-recording this audio part for you, all right? Because the first one, I recorded ended up losing the audio. I recorded about 3 videos, and it ended up to not lose the content, right? I'm just re-recording the audio. Okay, so ignore my face there, as I'll be moving my mouth, but it won't be the correct audio, all right? Today, I'm going to bring you a tool, okay, called Lovable. A tool similar to Bolt or V0. All right, it will basically do the same thing that Bolt or V0 does, okay, but it has some details there that we will show. All right. First, to test, right? Let's take a portfolio here. Remembering that we've already made some portfolio videos of V0 and Bolt, right? So we're going to take the portfolio here. We always look for it on Dribbble, okay? Dribbble has a lot of UI and UX designs for us to modify, tweak, and so on, okay? So whenever you have an inspiration, go to Dribbble. Okay, so here we have some portfolios for us to take a look at. We will choose one that is nice for us to do the test, okay? It shouldn't be too complex either, right? So we don't demand too much from the tool as well, okay? I particularly liked the fourth one there, from the fourth row, right? We can see here there are some light ones. This one is very colorful, and the rest are mock-up presentations, right? So let's take the fourth one, right? I believe it's a dark version. It's quite nice, right? So let's use this one as a base, okay? Lovable also accepts a small screenshot from a screen or from Figma so we can start our project, okay? So what are we going to do now? We're going to take it, right? We'll select or take a screenshot or save it locally. You decide what you think is best, okay? I have a tool called Lightshot. I even recommend you download it, okay? With Lightshot, I can take screenshots of parts of the screen. So I use a shortcut. It creates a selection tool for me. And I take the screenshot of this part. I will select only the part I want, which would be this part of the home page. All right, then I go to Lovable. Do a Ctrl-V and it will upload the image. But do you see that it gave us an error? Bold can understand this, right? But probably this issue here was because of the login. I wasn't logged in. Let's log in, right? From here, we log in with Google, with GitHub, or if you want to log in with email, you can do the normal login process, okay, guys? So it's easy for you to do. It's taking a bit longer here because my connection was a bit slow at this time. There's a lot connected to it. There's also some automation here, but we've already logged in. If you look, it gives a little survey, which is default for these tools to understand a bit more about the client, the persona. So we answer here, a basic response here, startup, okay, 𝗥𝗘𝗗𝗘𝗦, then okay, continue, and click okay. We can already use it. Let's test the Ctrl-V again. Then it will try to upload the image. It already did. And we will make a simple prompt this time, okay? Create a landing page on a portfolio with animation using a framework that I really like, which is Magic UI. If you search on Google, you'll find a very cool framework for interfaces, and it also has good documentation. It's based on chat.cn as well, which V0 and Bolt use. And I'm going to set here that I don't want TypeScript. Then in Configure, we can see that here we can define a stack, you see. In V0 and Bolt, you can't do that. We have to put it in a command line, right? Here we can select, so I can set that I want JavaScript instead of TypeScript, okay? So I don't need to write. This type form is because I clicked on another technology and they put a form for you to suggest to them to include it, right? So that's why I closed it. Then I removed the TypeScript that we selected there. I closed the form, right? Because we don't need it. Then we're going to do it in Bolt as well, just to make a comparison, right? We're going to copy the same input and paste it. I'm going to put without TypeScript and 𝗥𝗘𝗗𝗘𝗦, which is that library that v0 uses, right? Then I put it there to do it with JavaScript, right? That's a clever trick, folks. Never use without TypeScript, because from my tests later on we'll see more about it. In the video bolt, it gets very confused. When you use it without TypeScript, it does both. It does JavaScript and TypeScript. It doesn't upload, you'll spend a lot of tokens, so forget it. Keep TypeScript. You won't be looking at much code either and everything, so there's no need to remove it, okay? Here we have the lovable options, okay? We have this knowledge part, which is very interesting. Guys, this is way better than Bolt, okay? This is what many people want to do, integration, like with Supabase, with backend and everything. So what are you going to do? You will put all the cases you generated from Supabase, Firebase, or whatever, and then you will include them as instructions and add the integration documentation. So, I'm using Next, so let's include how I integrate Next with Supabase. I add the documentation, then my data, save it, and when I input it there, it goes to implement. So we can be much more precise in this integration. Backend, frontend, or implementations of very specific things like libraries, specifics, and so on. So it's a great place for us to put documentation, okay? We also have this part with GitHub, which will connect with our own GitHub, okay? For us to save everything we're writing, right? Our own GitHub, we have public visibility. Public is default. If we want private, we have to pay, okay? It's already generated. If we look, it's even nice here, right? We click here and we will be able to see the mobile view, if not the desktop. Here we can rename the project the remix. What does it do? It makes a fork of the project, so you can duplicate it and edit, you understand. Then this guy here is for us to link GitHub and open our GitHub with the project's documents. Here we have a history that is very interesting. As we make changes, we will be able to go back if we want to revert a version of the code by clicking there, okay? So here we have some interactions, some animations. I thought it turned out interesting, but you see that it changed the guy's place, right? In our print, it placed our print on the right side as an image, but actually the text was on the right side. The guy was on the left side and the background cards were different. Okay. But it turned out relatively nice, okay? It wasn't bad, it looked good. Later, we will also see how the code turns out to check if it's okay or not. If it was a nice code and everything. Here, when we click, we open a new tab, right? The little system, right? As if it were the final version there for the client. Here, we reduce it to see the mobile version. In short, it's nice. It's more or less at Bolt's level. Personally, I like v0 for pages, landing pages, and so on, because I think it has a more structured and beautiful design. But Bolt is a more complete tool. Here we have some options, okay? There's the portfolio, right? With a link, you see it has some animations already as default. If we go back to Bolt, there's the problem I mentioned to you, okay? As we requested TypeScript for TypeScript, do you see what it generated? app.jx. And then main, JSX, and main, TSX. TSX is the TypeScript version. JSX is the JavaScript version. What is TypeScript? To explain to you quickly, it is a superset of JavaScript. Basically, it's JavaScript, but it defines some pre-configurations for typing. Typing what? Typing the data, for example, a title portfolio. This is a string, which is a text, right? So we will talk in our component that we will receive this guy as a string. If we send a Boolean, which is a Boolean, which is true or false, it will crash and our application won't run. So this is interesting for the dev because it ensures code quality. And with a very large code base, a very large system, multiple devs, it's good to have this kind of control. For an internal system, ours, a small MVP, I don't see the need to have TypeScript. That's why I always remove it. Okay. But that's basically the difference. Here, what I did. There. I asked him to make the correction and keep only the JavaScript, but he will slip up a lot. You will see in the video. Here, I'm going to take a look at the settings to show you how it works, right? The GitHub part. Then I'm going to connect with my GitHub. Okay. So you can see how it works. There. I'm going to log in with my GitHub and he's going to create a repository, basically, okay. With this first version of the little system, and the cool thing about them is that there's a committee there. Everything is neat with the comment. It's well organized, guys. It's really nice. Okay. Here I am still logging in, but among the tools we've been reviewing here on the channel, I believe this lovable is quite good, you see. It manages to be better than that E2B we saw, right? And it's on par with Bolt. I still think Bolt is better, okay? Bolt is the most complete tool for now. It's still connecting to GitHub. The 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗜𝗔𝗦 for me provides a more assertive, more beautiful, more functional interface, but overall, Bolt is better. We are still connecting to GitHub. It's taking a bit longer due to my connection, which is somewhat poor. Look there, it is already created within my repository. We can edit in VS Code, and it will open, check out our repository, and everything else. If you want me to make a video about GitHub, comment here, folks. I'll make an introductory video just for what will be used for those who use Bolt and everything else to use Git. Nothing too complex, just so you can get familiar with the tool. The version control tool is quite straightforward. So we saw here that we can connect with our GitHub, and as we write here, it updates the code it pulling is injecting the project into our GitHub to keep it versioned so we can revert and everything else. So the alphabet is quite complete. This part of the history I found excellent. Here we will just give one more command to see how it behaves if we want to add more to this page here. Let's write here that we want the content of the contact area, right? With a small form. But the portfolio part, just to see how it behaves. Then if you are asking, but what about the code? How do I see the code there? You see there, I will show it later, but when you finish executing the command, a label appears for us to click, but I will show it later. Here is the portfolio code. You see, with the comments there, it creates a really nice README. It already teaches you how to do the clone. You see there, we go to git clone, the repository, cd, opens the folder in a project, npm install to install dependencies, and npm run dev to start it locally. It's quite interesting, right? Then it mentions the technologies he included in the project: Vite, React, Headless UI, Tailwind. Went back. It's not finished yet. We go back to Bolt just to see how it is. He didn't remove it, you see, the J336, and we're cutting Tolkien there, you understand. I'm going to try to do it manually there just to see, but you see, even the components, look there. Even the components, he included getx, tasks, getx, so it would be a huge manual task to keep doing this. And every time you request from Bolt, for those who use the free version, it's fewer tokens for us to create our system, right? So what I advise folks, never say not to use Bolt, at least not to use TypeScript. It can't handle that very well. I don't know if in its core it's defined to always use TypeScript. Something like that, okay? It might be that then I take a general look. Consider whether I continue with this project in this way, if I start one from scratch, or if I keep correcting the files like a presentation just for us to compare the two. I think it wasn't really worth it to keep insisting on this guy, but I go there and insist once more, you see. What happened? The TSX was linking the JSX, but the JSX had a string. It didn't have the correct content or that it had generated for the TSX that I deleted. So I told it to generate again to copy inside the JSX, you understand. It will do that, but there are other configurations that are still in TSX and everything else, and it would take a bit more work to correct manually. People also tend to complain when I speak too much in code speak. So I thought it was better for us to have changed. So it's rendering, right? Meanwhile, folks, if you like the comparison content and everything else, leave a comment here, and I'll bring more comparisons for you with other tools, right? I already have one in my pipeline to bring to you. Okay? There's another one that people are talking about, saying it's cool and everything, and I'll bring the comparison if you like it. Comment here, okay? Like the video if you enjoy it. If not, don't like it, so I know if the content is good or not, right? That's a good measure. Share with people who like this content, those in the early stages of their career, or who enjoy the artificial intelligence part, okay? All right, it finished, right? But we still have the same error. Then I try to run an npm install to see if any of his packages are not updated, right? Sometimes it could have been. But actually it was because there were some core configurations there that weren't matching. Right, okay. So the most correct thing is for us to reset, right? Start from scratch. Do it again, prompt put that little image there for us so we can start from scratch and be able to make a comparison with the layout there. Then I try once more to see if it self-corrects, but I already warn you that it won't correct. We'll have to redo it. This is good to show you that, really. When we see that it's struggling a lot, the ideal is to go back and redo the prompts. It's very important because of the limitation it has of 𝗦𝗢𝗖𝗜𝗔𝗦 tokens, so don't insist too much. If you see that it's struggling, forget it. Go back and start from scratch again, which is usually better. We are going to copy the image once more. Again. We'll take the image we got from the portfolio, which is this one here. I took a screenshot. I'll select. All right, we're going to press Ctrl-V and write what we want for it. To make it fidget worthy, we will have to basically put what we wrote in the other one, but without asking to remove TypeScript. It will create. You'll see that it will even be faster using fewer tokens. Here we go back to the logo. We see that it created a nice input field there. Already responsive. We don't have to keep worrying about it. And it created an image portfolio with a hover effect. Pretty cool. But one thing I noticed is that it didn't do the push. It didn't update the RAPL. I believe it will update when we send another command, because when we send a command, we accept that the previous command is okay. Got it? So I say, if it's okay, I pulled it. Since we made this command and didn't make a new one, it didn't pull. That's why it stayed like this. So I'm looking around to see where the code is, where we can see his code, because it would be interesting for us to see how the code is turning out so we don't have to keep sending something else and go there. On GitHub, it's kind of unfeasible. There we have the history. We can click and go back to previous versions, which is excellent. Bolt should have that. And when we click here, it opens the code. So every time we finish the prompt, an option for the code will appear here. And you click on it, and it will show that then there are two views. The raw view, which is just what he changed. This is the code he actually altered. This is the code he made, and the diff, which is the code that exists today and the code that was changed, which line will overwrite the old one. The diff is that it's the difference between the two. So the difference is really nice for us to see what he is updating and everything else. And we see that it's not like Bolt, which to change something, it rewrites the entire file. It only writes what is necessary. Bolt already has this update, okay? At least the prod version there already has this update. Here we have the Bolt version. If we look, here is a very streamlined, very clean code. Very nice, very organized as well. If we click on preview here, we will see, you see it created a little menu there. According to the image, it already placed a default image there from an image bank. Here, Bolt, we had requested for it to create the theme. It worked on the first try, which is very cool. It usually doesn't work on the first try. And here we have the menu. We have a slightly better set of colors, right? But well constructed. But if we look at it, it turned out nice. Both are useful for us to quickly create a landing page, to showcase, display a product that we are launching. I found the results of both quite interesting, although I like Bolt more for its color palette, but colors, we can change them by asking Lovable to make this alteration. And just testing the result of the activity here, we see that it's so-so, not 100% on Bolt. And it created a little menu there with a glass effect. If you look up there, do you see it? When we scroll, it stays on top with this glass effect, which is very interesting. Here I'm explaining the GitHub part, right? When we finish executing a command, it sends it here and updates. Then if we want to work on the computer, go there, download, zip, and we will be able to work on our computer, opening VS Code, IndySurf, whatever it may be. When we feel satisfied with these tools, we can go there. But Lovable, its focus is to develop everything within it. You understand? Just like with Bolt too, okay? But Lovable seems to have this approach of always developing within it, right? Here we have the show plans, right? We start with $20. We have their 10 million tokens, okay? Is the starter plan. Then, normally all the projects that do this, right, that do everything with code, usually start from 20. Okay, I'll show it again. I'll also do it so you can have an idea, but it also starts from $20. But I still recommend Bolt. Lovable also has a library of templates, people who create and everything else. It stays here because those who don't pay stay on the free version. It remains open. So you can find something you think is cool and work on it too, which is interesting. In Bolt, we don't have that. Then the plans, we also start at $20. There are also limitations and everything else. For the prices, I think it's worth it. Bolt is, especially for those who want to prototype a project and so on. I think it's worth spending $20 for what you'll save on front-end, back-end, and designer. And everything else, it's negligible to pay $20 for a month of code. You can make a small MVP, a good little product, then launch it. So folks, we're already at the end of the video here. Thank you for watching until now. Now it's up to you to decide which one you found better, Lovable or Bolt. Did you enjoy it, 𝗥𝗘𝗗𝗦? Do you like it, right? So we know you're enjoying it. Share with your friends, comment and everything else, and I will do it too. Probably today or tomorrow I will release the third part of the playlist. I believe you will really like it. This third part is very good. You will learn. It's already. For now, that's it. So folks, thank you very much for the support. Thanks.